Welcome back to the Brotherhood Blitz, where rivalries are personal, dynasties are earned, and every snap means something. I'm here with my brother and co-host 49K, and we're breaking down the biggest moments, the toughest matchups, and the plays that changed everything.
Yeah, welcome to season two of the Brotherhood Blitz. We got a lot in store for this season, and we hope it's just as good as our debut season that we had.
Yeah, last season we had a great first season with the podcast. It went better than expected. So this season we're looking to make things a little bit better, and we're always open to suggestions. If anybody has any suggestions, you can DM me or my brother. Um, just kind of throw some ideas together and make things happen. But we got a few things in store for this season, and we'll get into as the seasons go on. I am coming off of a vacation, so this episode will be kind of uh, like a preseason overlooking, recruitment and which team did the best in recruiting, and then we'll go over week one. Um, but yeah, this episode won't be as good as the episodes to come. But once the season starts and we get rolling, the season or the episodes will be a lot more entertaining, to say the least.
Yeah, and we also plan to have some guests throughout the season, pending uh, work schedules that we have and stuff that we have going on coming up. But let's get right into this. We got week one coming up.
Yeah, week one, and well, before we get into that, let's do want to touch base a little bit on which team did the best in recruitment. And there is one team that stands out to me, and I wouldn't say it's the best, you know, the biggest talent recruitment wise, but I will say Florida State has done a very good job with their class and their potential talent. And I think within the next few seasons, that talent's going to grow and they're going to be a very strong team.
Yeah, and I do agree. Florida State had one of the better classes just overall wise. But now if you look at it, a little bit deeper and look at, top talent that Florida State has, not as high as some of the teams who only needed to grab a few players here and there to fill out those last few spots that they had. But even I'll even go with like Mizzou. Mizzou got quite a few really solid pieces, a couple of six-star receivers, some pieces for the defense, and really improved in trying to see if they could turn the ship around after a disappointing last season.
Yeah, definitely. Them coming off of a winless season, this season is definitely looking bright for them, and I'm excited to see what they can do this season and string some wins together. But yeah, going back to Florida State as well, 9 freshmen, 8 sophomores, so they're a very young team, and like I said, within the next few years, they're going to be a very strong competitor.
We are excited to see how all these new freshmen, and also I will want to point out VGL hitting 1,000 members in the league. So congrats to Gates and Vex for putting something that we all enjoy together and keeping this thing churning.
Yeah, I came into this league. Let's see, I want to. It's coming up on a year, I think. I think it was March of last year I came in, and yeah, I think there was like high three, low 400 members. So it grew quick, and this community is getting better and better. And Vex doing all these changes with the website and the games and the Discord, it makes it even more fun to be around and excited to see what Gates and Vex do in the future.
Yeah, I've been in the league since September of 24, and I think there was less than 200 members in the league. So just seeing the amount of growth that the VGL has come in well over a year. Um, I'm excited to see how much more this league can grow and all the new things that are yet to come.
And with that being said, we will hop right into it, to week one. And it's going to be a wild week one. Week one is always, you know, you never know what your opponent's going to do. There's so many great games that happen. Uh, you know, Coaches don't have any film to go off of. They don't know what their opponent's going to do. So playbook and talent and knowledge of your playbook really comes into play when you're going up your week one opponent.
And week one's also a crapshoot. You never know what's going to happen. Now, you might think, oh, you have this team beat, on paper in every aspect of the game, but going into that game, you don't know what they're going to run. You might think you do, but you truly never know until the game and the sim starts and you start to see, okay, is this running like all the hours upon hours of testing you've put into your week one game plan?
Yeah, so week one, first game on Tuesday, we have a trilogy. So season six, we had Texas versus Miami, with Miami coming up out on top, and then season seven, again Texas versus Miami week one, with Texas coming out on top, and now season eight, we have another season opener of Texas and Miami. So a little bit of history between these two teams in week one, and excited for it. And give me your thoughts on it.
Yeah, it's facing the same team their week one for 3 seasons straight. Not something I was wanting in terms of our how our schedule played out, but I mean we were dealt the cards we were dealt. Miami, they're coming in rank one, Texas rank two. Both these teams were in the semis. Miami obviously made the national championship, losing to FAU in a pretty. Yeah, it was competitive towards the end, wasn't for the most part. And Texas just 1 point away. Uh, oh, 1 point away from tying, 2 points away from making back-to-back natties. It's tough because both these teams are top. Miami best team on paper, and it's not even close. And then Texas, 1 and 2 on paper. This game could go either way. I truly believe that Swaggy has done a great job recruiting. Now he is losing a quarter of his roster, if not almost half his roster after this season. So we'll see if he's able to finish out those seniors' careers on a high before reloading or even rebuilding after the season.
Yeah, Miami, to go back on what you said. Yeah, Miami's losing 12 seniors. That's more than half of their roster. As we have 22-man rosters. Yeah, losing 12 seniors, you're really going all out this season, and they definitely have the team to do it. Like you said, number one on paper across the board, and it's not even close. Um, they have they're 96 overall, 95 overall offense, and a 96 overall defense. It's an absolutely insane, talented squad, and Swaggy definitely knows what he's doing. And this week one matchup against Texas is definitely, I see why Gates, keeps putting Texas in Miami season openers. It's always a phenomenal game between these two teams, and like you said, it can go either way.
Yeah, the past two matchups, you know, in season six, Miami got the best of us and coming back for I think like they were down like 31-14 and then ended up winning. And then season seven wasn't as close. Texas, we ended up getting the better hand of Miami that game, but it's a different season, new teams. I mean, Texas, we have a new quarterback, so we'll see how the era of the Texas Longhorns is with Remy not being our quarterback.
Yeah, like you said, we got a freshman QB. That QB is myself. A lot of thought has been into our simming this past few weeks, and it's definitely, we're definitely gonna have to have some things go our way, just like any sim. But yeah, having a freshman QB, we're at a little bit of a disadvantage. But like I said, with these extra, with it being one, we did have an extra, week or two of simming. Only 1 week of like actual simming with the correct playbooks and everything. But you know, I do like our odds, and with how our sims have looked, I do like our odds of pulling this one off. It's not gonna be easy, but I do have us winning this game.
I'd be dumb not to pick ourselves, but I will say this is a little bit of a, I won't say a hot take, but a little bit of take. If Miami ends up beating us, there's probably only one more game that they realistically have a shot at losing. all of the rest of the season.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. If like Miami has a very good chance of not losing a game again in the regular season.
I will never hear the end of it if that happens.
Yeah,
It's
hopefully
only
we
been
can.
done once, and they're the only team to do it. Let alone they do it twice in two out of the past 3 seasons. Would be crazy.
Yeah, um, definitely have the squad to do it. And like we said earlier, that this team is insane that they have, and makes for a great game. That's for sure.
And then going on to the second game of the Tuesday slate, you got number three ranked USC, who's in their first season in the league. They were FAU rebranded to USC under new coach Sakalata. And then they're taking on number eight Maryland. So I kind of give you your thoughts on how that game and what you see for it.
Yeah, this game is more interesting than you would think. You know, you see a number three rated team and a number eight rated team. You're like, oh, number three, this might not even be close. But I think if people think that way, they're thinking wrong. Like you said, USC coming in first season head coach, and Maryland had some pretty good games last season, and they're better than you think. And USC is definitely cannot overlook this squad, and Maryland can definitely pull this one off. It's another one of those games that can go either way. Uh, I'm gonna be honest there, and it's not gonna be easy for either team. Um, but with that being said, we have a little bit of a breeze in this one, overcast, and I do think USC is gonna pull this one off.
Yeah, the light breeze. I will also note the playbooks obviously take a factor, and Maryland has always been a team that is known for their hard-nosed running. I do like the leadership and the experience more for Maryland. Hence, I pick Maryland to get the upset in week one.
I could definitely see that happening, for sure.
As nothing against USC and the coaching staff over there. I think that for week one jitters and being in a playbook that is not necessarily one of the better in its scheme, um, I do think that Maryland just has a slight bit of edge in terms of better knowledge of game planning. Now, USC has the better roster, but roster only gets you so far.
Going on to the first game of the Wednesday slate, we have number 10 LSU taking on number 9 Michigan.
Yeah, under new head coach Norman Bates for Michigan, Loki stepping down after a long and successful career, being the only head coach to win two national championships in the league. Going up against LSU, who is in the notorious and hated Texas Tech book. It's going to be a good game. We get to see how does Norman Bates and being under new leadership and a new quarterback, Rain Alexander, how are they going to look to go into week one, knock off the jitters that might come up, just like in the USC Maryland game, and see can we knock off a championship winning coach in LSU.
Yeah, it's definitely a great matchup, especially for week one. Um, like you said, LSU having that Texas Tech book. Look, Texas Tech, that book has just come off two straight national championships. Um, LSU in season six, and then FAU in season seven. Both teams had the Texas Tech book, and yeah, that book is insane. Michigan, they're gonna have to come into this game knowing that LSU is going to score, like without a doubt. LSU is going to march down the field, drive after drive, and they're gonna score. It's how can Michigan's defense get those key stops in crucial situations, and you might even say their defense might have to put some points up for Michigan in order if they want to, stay in this game. I do think this is going to be a high scoring game, and that light breeze. It's another light breeze game that might play a little bit of a factor in these two passing games, but both teams are going to have to deal with it. But with that being said, I think LSU and that Texas Tech book is going to be a little too much for Michigan. And I think they're going to come out and I would say a 7 point victory.
I am going the opposite, and I think Michigan claims the win over LSU.
Interesting.
Now, looking at Michigan's roster, their team is young, more so in their receiving core. But I mean, they have Dad Castle, who, as we know, how good he is. Their secondary is also uh, pretty good. A little bit more, I guess, on the older side in terms of like some of their top end guys in the secondary. But LSU lost one of their top top guys in the receiving core, in Fafa. But they do still have their their top three in Shumway, Junior, Anthony, and Harbor. And they also brought in Dominic McKenzie from USC to into the halfback position. It's curious to see how this is going to go. I do think they're a lot even on paper. I do think Michigan just has a slight edge.
Going on to the second game of the Wednesday slate, we have a Florida State taking on Colorado in a partly cloudy light breeze matchup.
I'll be honest, I have no clue how this game is going to go. You got two first year head coaches trying to see what they can do, what their teams are capable of. Now, Colorado's head coach was the assistant head coach for Rutgers, and they did just make the semifinals last season. So uh, it's hard to say, really, because obviously Colorado has a freshman QB. It's kind of curious to see how that will work for them. And then you got Florida State, who has Johnny Gray Jr., the junior quarterback, who's really known for his legs and the kind of the style of offense that they've built, around uh, their QB. I think it's just going to come down to who outscores who, and I am going to go with Colorado.
Yeah, it's. I agree. This you have no idea how this game's going to go. Um, if Colorado had a little bit of a seasoned quarterback, this game would definitely I could see Colorado taking this, no doubt. But with them having a freshman QB, it's interesting to see what they're going to do with him and how they utilize him. Um, but man, yeah, both Colorado freshman QB, both teams have you know as you would say freshman head coach. Uh, but I do think, like you said, Colorado's head coach having a little bit of an advantage of being assistant head coach last season. I think Colorado is going to pull this one off. I'm going to agree with you there.
It's no offense, Swampy and Florida State and the team that they've put together. Yeah, someone's got to win, and I think Colorado just has a slightly better team currently.
With that being said, I could definitely see Florida State topping this one, but my pick is Colorado.
And going on to the final game of the Wednesday slate, you have number 6 ranked Cincinnati taking on number 5 ranked North Carolina in a partly cloudy light breeze game as well.
Yeah, this is quite an interesting matchup. We have Cincinnati with a first season head coach in Stamps, and North Carolina with a not first season head coach, but head coach that has come out of retirement, as one would say, um, in Winley. And it's going to be a great matchup. Um, you know, both coaches have been putting in some work this offseason, and it's going to be interesting to see, how this game plays out. I do think it's going to be. It might start off slow, but I think it's towards second quarter teams are going to really start throwing, diving deep into their playbooks and start really scoring. And I think it's going to be come come to the end of the fourth quarter. It's going to be a very high scoring game.
Yeah, both because Cincinnati they retained a lot because they rebranded from Virginia Tech and they retained, you know, almost their entire roster that they previously had, and they're also a very old team with 10 seniors um, currently on the roster. And UNC kind of still a little bit more balanced. They have a lot more freshmen than anything, but they do still have those, five seniors, three of them being on the offensive side of the ball in the receiving core. And then obviously the other two are their linebacker positions. So it's a very even on paper. Now, it's going to be interesting to see how Stamps leads this Cincinnati team into his uh, first season as head coach. I'm curious to see where you're leaning in terms of your pick 'em.
Um, I would use that exact word, leaning, because I'm not 100% sure of my pick in this one. I'll be honest. It's another game, like all these games. It's week one. You don't know how these games are going to go. Um, but I am leaning towards UNC just because of the uh, experience. But with that being said, I definitely can see Cincy coming in here, Stamps, proving everyone wrong and getting his first win in his first game.
And Cincinnati has the top three team on paper. Is as the same. I'm gonna use the same example with USC. You have all the talent in the world, but it's hard to pick a team that's as the better talent. But I haven't seen anything coaching wise to make me confident in picking that team to win. So in that case, I will be picking UNC to win this game. Now, Stamps, if you're, I know you listen, and it is nothing against you. Same with Sakalata. He had to pick someone. I'm just going with the knowledge that we have currently.
Yeah, as these weeks go on, we get a little bit of understanding of how these teams are playing and what they're kind of doing. Um, we'll get a better idea of our picks. But uh, yeah, just with the knowledge we currently have and the experience of what Winley has done, uh, yeah, that's my pick. But like I said, I'm leaning towards that pick. This game, you can definitely go prove us wrong, and I would not be surprised.
Yeah, no, I was definitely going to be curious, especially if you kind of put on a strong showing in week one. A lot more confidence can be inserted into your team and your coaching staff. So curious to see how y'all work it out and how the playbook works for y'all in week one.
Going on to the first game of the Thursday slate, we have number 13 Arkansas taking on number 12 Ole Miss, and another great matchup, if I do say it so myself.
Yeah, I do think it's great in terms of you think, okay, first season head coach, official first season head coach. I do know Rush did coach partially last season, but wasn't his first full season. And then you got Arkansas, you got Cade, who has been around the block, knows his stuff, just didn't have nearly the recruiting class I thought they needed to bring in to uh, continue being in the top portion of the league in terms of talent wise. I mean, they did lose their QB, they did lose their running back as well. They lost quite a bit um, on both sides of the ball. I just didn't see them bring nearly as much as that same equal amount of talent back. Now, halfback wise, did they bring in Rolls Royce from that transferred from LSU? So that is something. And they got a few guys in the secondary that they were able to bring in to kind of solidify that safety core. I just I think this is more of a matchup, and then we talked about that even last season, where in terms of like some of the matchups or why he was outmatched but still ended up winning. You're more facing off against Cade because Cade knows how to make those not as good teams on paper play better than they actually are, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, and It's an interesting matchup, but yeah, I think Ole Miss is the better team on paper, like you just kind of talked about. But yeah, Cade definitely can make Arkansas look a lot better than they are. Um, but I do think Arkansas's freshman QB is going to play a huge factor in this game, and I think that is the reason that Ole Miss will make a few better drives than Arkansas and pull this one out.
I am gonna pick Ole Miss, but not for the reasons that you are. I just think not the exact reason I should say, but I do think the talent difference is a bit much between both these teams.
Going on to the second game of the Thursday slate, we have number 7 Rutgers taking on number 4 Hawaii.
You would like to think that this game is going to be close because Rutgers made the semis last season. I do think they still have a good team, but you lost your stars and your star-studded halfback. Um, you brought in a few a few guys here and there, but the team is mostly the same in a way where they didn't bring in. They only had three freshmen, so I'm curious to see how this is going to look and see if they're able to maintain the success that they had going into the end of last season. And then Hawaii, I mean, they had a pretty good class. They brought in two star-studded freshman receivers. You got a freshman linebacker. I mean, this team has some good pieces for the future. Now they do have 13 juniors, so not this season, but next season's their window is very short if they don't try and get some more talent to kind of build up. I am going to go with Hawaii just in terms of you're facing off against Gun.
Yeah, Gunn is definitely, as we all know it, very scary to play against. He definitely knows what he is doing, and it's always scary playing against him. And I think you're right. Hawaii and Gunn is just too much for Rutgers in this matchup, especially week one. Um, but yeah, I got Hawaii taking this one.
And going on in the final game of week one, you got Mizzou, who's ranked 15, versus number 11th ranked Georgia in a clear, calm weather game.
Yeah, it's definitely you know looking at Mizzou and how they did last season, you would think, oh, this probably isn't even going to be a good game. I disagree with that. I think Mizzou has gotten way better than they were last season, and they're looking to get you know some wins this season as they didn't get a win last season. And I think this week one is going to be the start of that, and I think they're going to pull it off against Georgia.
This game, I am on the fence still. This is probably the only game I'm on the fence about on really who to lock my pick in for Pick'em. Because Mizzou, I do agree, Mizzou has gotten way better and had a really, really, really good recruiting class and some really kind of star-studded recruits that kind of came in late. They got some guys to really, buy in to this team. Just can they put it together? Now, they do have a really good book in Fresno State, which might help their odds some in some of these games. Georgia, with the new QB, now it is a very, very good QB, and they did get, some, six-star tight end. Still kind of the same D line. Uh, did get a pretty good freshman corner and two freshman safeties. This is tough. This is the one game where I literally, this game could probably be like 50-50 by the time it's said and done. Uh, I'm gonna go safe and say Georgia, but My mind is saying Georgia, my heart is saying Mizzou, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, I definitely see
Because I
that.
do think I do think Mizzou just has a slightly bit more in certain positions that matter more to me.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be a great game, and I agree with you. It might be close until the very end, and um, this was definitely one I was thinking about before you know for the podcast. And I was thinking about what we're going to talk about, and this game came up in my mind, and I was probably thinking about this game for probably 15 minutes, just going back and forth on it. Um,
And kind of going into I guess the next portion, kind of our picks for game of the week and kind of the game to watch out for. I think that Mizzou Georgia game is the game to watch, the
yeah,
game to look out for.
yeah, I definitely would say this is. I don't know about you, but definitely my sleeper game of the week. Don't sleep on this game because
I'm
this
I'm in the same boat as you.
this game could definitely surprise you, and the Zoo can surprise you. Georgia can surprise you. This game might, have multiple lead changes. It's definitely going to be a great game to watch, and I'm very excited for it.
And also, just going into both these teams didn't have very great seasons. I believe Georgia won 1 to 2 games. Mizzou didn't win one. So both Mizzou and Georgia are really trying to steer the ship in the right direction and see if they can't make a playoff push.
And with that being said, that was our sleeper game of the week. My actual game of the week, with it being week one, it's always tough, but um, just with the history of the two teams, and this week one matchup again, season opener, I'm gonna have to go with the trilogy Texas versus Miami.
That is a good pick. I was going in a different direction, so I didn't pick, my own team. Um, hmm. I am going to say LSU and Michigan.
I can definitely see that. That would be my number two. I was
Now you could say USC and Maryland, but really a lot those first season head coach games, it's hard to know really how those could go. Now if you're just going based off of talent, I mean you can go Cincinnati, North Carolina, or Texas and Miami as the two. But in terms of I think the style of game that we're gonna get gets two very pass happy offenses in terms of their playbooks. The LSU Michigan game is gonna be pretty good.
Yeah, I was gonna pick that LSU Michigan because, like you said, I don't really want to pick our own team, but just how the history
It's got
is with the week one
right.
matchup, season openers. Miami taking the first one, Texas taking the next one. You know, it's just it's set up for a
It's
phenomenal.
hard not to. But if you look it past it being obviously us being coaches for Texas, it's hard. It's really hard to say, oh, you can't pick that because we're the coaches of it. I mean, it's probably easily one of the better like the one of the best games you're gonna see just in terms of the sheer amount of talent on the field, and obviously it being rank one versus rank two. You don't see that very often to start out a season.
Yeah, for sure. Um, yeah, all these games, I'm excited for them. We got some new announcers this season. It's gonna be a phenomenal season. I cannot wait.
Yeah, it's been a long off season. I'm ready for this season to start already.
Yeah, this off season has been. It's felt like one of the longest off seasons I've ever had, and I don't know why.
It's only been about a month though.
Yeah, it's
Wild.
man. But
As
excited for
this
the
past
this.
month has gone slow.
Yeah, it's definitely gone really slow, and all these changes that have been happening, I'm super excited to see um, where we go with it and how the season unfolds.
I can't wait.
But going on to a little bit of a segment we're bringing back. Um, you know, towards the end of last season, we were probably debating on not doing this again, but people seem to be excited for it. We got some new people in league chat talking about it. Um, but we're, I guess, for now, We'll see how it goes. But we got hit stick play of the week, where if you are watching a stream and you see a big hit, you can clip it in chat and take the clip that you get in the Discord and send it through DM to either my brother or myself, and we will look through all the clips that we have received for the week and pick our best one and shout the player for the hit as well as the person who sent in the clip. And without further ado, we do have one for prospect game that played just this past Friday. So without further ado, roll the clip.
Quick out to his receiver. Jensen gains 4 yards on that reception.
That'll make it 3rd and 5.
And just like that, yeah, we'll show the clip. That hit was targeted by freshman cornerback Jason Morales, and the clip was sent in by Leach. So thank you, Leach. And like I said earlier, if you see a big hit, uh, I think it's exclamation mark clip in the Twitch chat, and it will go ahead and clip it for you. You'll see it in the Discord, and you'll send it to me or my brother, and we will, just like I just did, show it on the podcast and shout you out. So, congratulations on the big hit, and thank you to Leach for sending that in.
And you can also, even if you want, get the clip yourself. Obviously, if you want like a certain, want it framed a certain way, if that makes sense. But yeah, congrats to Morales, and thank you, Leach, once again as well for sending a clip in from the prospect game, which was a pretty fun one to watch this past Friday. But that is going to be the end of season 2, episode 1 of the Brotherhood Blitz. We appreciate those that will be tuning in here, listening out throughout season 8 of the VGL. And if you have any suggestions for things that you want to see or have us add into this season for the podcast, just feel free to reach out to my brother Dealawop or 409K on Discord, and we'll be sure to hear out your suggestions and your ideas. And with that being said, good luck to everyone in week 1. You're tuning in to the Brotherhood Blitz.